The universe is quiet but not empty. Beyond the glow of dying stars, beyond the silence of forgotten systems, a shadow moves. It is not alien. It is not unknown. It is human. And for the first time in 3,000 years, that shadow carries the fire of vengeance. The story of humanity is not a tale of peace. It is a tale of survival, of loss, and of patience, so long it breaks the mind. Long ago, before the Great Silence, humanity had a home. It was called Earth. Blue oceans, green forests, and skies that carried generations of dreamers. That home is gone now, burned, stolen, defiled by hands that were not human. 3,000 years ago, Earth burned under alien fire. Ships darkened the skies. Cities fell in hours. The invaders came with weapons far beyond human science. They crushed nations like ants beneath a boot. Billions died before humanity could even fight back. Those who survived fled into the dark of space, scattered across hidden colonies, carrying nothing but rage and memory. The enemy thought humanity was finished. They laughed as Earth's soil turned to ash. They built their cities on the bones of mankind. They told the galaxy that the humans had fallen forever. But they were wrong, because humanity remembers. And humanity waits. Now in the forgotten reaches of the galaxy, a fleet awakens. Ships of black steel and burning engines drift from the shadows. These are not the fragile ships of the old Earth nations. These are war machines forged in exile, built with one purpose: to return, to strike back, to make the galaxy fear the name of humankind again. They are called the Defenders, not because they guard, but because they avenge. The story begins in the Hollow Veil, a star system no one charts on a map. Its sun is weak, its planets lifeless, its silence perfect. Here in secret, humanity rebuilt. For centuries, exiles carried scraps of old knowledge, fragments of technology, pieces of forgotten Earth. They fused it with stolen alien science, turning weakness into strength. Deep under frozen moons, hidden for ages, shipyards grew. Thousands of vessels were born in silence, their engines sleeping, their weapons sealed. Each one bore the mark of vengeance, painted not with colors, but with memory. Entire generations lived and died, only to build ships they would never see fight. They called it the Armada of Shadows. And tonight, for the first time in 3,000 years, that armada stirs on the flagship Eternal Resolve. The commanders of the Defenders gather. They are not kings or politicians. They are survivors. Their ancestors fled Earth's burning skies, carrying the last screams of their families in their blood. Commander Kyle Varin stands at the center of the chamber. His voice is steady, his eyes hard as stone. He was born among the outer colonies, raised on stories of Earth's death. Every night of his childhood began with the same words: never forget. One day we return. Behind him stands Admiral Ceres, old and sharp as a blade. Her hair is white, but her gaze burns with the fire of a warrior who has waited too long. To her, vengeance is not choice. It is duty. The chamber grows quiet as Kyle speaks. 3,000 years we have hidden. 3,000 years we have bled in silence. Our enemies believe we are gone. Tonight they will learn they are wrong. Tonight we march for Earth. The room does not erupt in cheers. Humanity has no need for cheers. Only the silence of men and women who know what must be done. Every soldier of the Defenders carries the same oath, passed down through generations. No commander forces them to say it. No law demands it. They whisper it to themselves, to their children, to their ancestors, blood for blood, fire for fire, earth for earth. It is a promise older than memory, a promise that now demands to be fulfilled. As the fleet awakens, soldiers walk through the halls of their ships. Their armor is black steel, designed for war among stars. Some touch the old emblems of Earth, painted on their armor, a blue sphere, cracked but unbroken. Others carry relics, fragments of old Earth soil, preserved in glass, bones of ancestors carved into pendants, flags that once flew over burned cities. For 3,000 years they have prepared. Now the time has come. Outside, the fleet moves. Engines flare like newborn suns. One by one, ships break free of their hidden shipyards. Battleships, cruisers, carriers, swarms of fighters, all sliding into position in perfect silence. The stars around the hollow veil glow faintly as thousands of vessels awaken. To anyone watching, it would seem as though the system itself has birthed a storm. But no one is watching. No one suspects that humanity has risen again, yet whispers travel faster than light. In distant corners of the galaxy, traders speak of strange ships seen only in glimpses. Alien warlords laugh, dismissing them as ghosts. But the ghosts are real, and they are hungry. Far from the hollow veil, on the ruins of Earth, the enemy thrives. They are called the Zayari, a species older than human history, known for cruelty and conquest. To them, Earth is nothing more than a conquered jewel. They walk its soil as masters. They drink from its rivers as lords. They build their palaces on the bones of human cities. For 3,000 years, they believed humanity broken. To the Zayari, humans were nothing but a failed species, scattered tribes living on the edge of extinction. They spoke of Earth's fall as a lesson to other species. Defy us, and you will burn as the humans did. But even now, in their arrogance, they do not see the storm rising. Back in the hollow veil, Kyle Varin walks the observation deck of the Eternal Resolve. He looks out at the fleet, stretching like an iron sea across the stars. His breath fogs the glass. His hand rests on the hilt of his blade, a relic forged from the melted ruins of a burned colony. Beside him, Admiral Ceres speaks quietly. Once we march, there is no turning back. The Zayari will answer with fire. Billions may die. Kale's eyes narrow. His voice is steady. They already died. 3,000 years ago. Every step we take now is for them. Ceres nods. She says nothing more. Words are no longer needed. Across the fleet, soldiers make final preparations. Engines hum like beasts waiting to be unleashed. Weapon systems charge, their cores glowing red. Captains whisper final orders. Priests recite the oath of blood. Children of exile, grown old in waiting, now stand ready to become warriors. The stars watch in silence. Then at last, the moment comes. A single command carries through the fleet. Set course, Earth, engines roar. The black void lights with fire. Thousands of ships surge forward as one, tearing through the hollow veil and vanishing into the stars. The silence of 3,000 years is broken. Humanity is no longer waiting. Humanity is coming home. Somewhere deep in the galaxy, far beyond the hollow veil, a Zayari outpost intercepts a signal. At first it is dismissed as static, an old broadcast echoing from forgotten space. But when the message is decoded, the officer on duty grows pale. The transmission is simple. A voice, human and unshaken, speaking in the ancient tongue of Earth. We are humanity. We are returning, and we are coming for you. The officer runs to report to his commander. But it is already too late. The defenders have begun their march. The forgotten ashes of Earth are about to burn with fire once again. The stars look calm, but the calm is a lie. Behind the dark horizon of forgotten space, engines hum with the sound of a storm waiting to be born. The galaxy sleeps in false peace, never knowing that deep in the hollow veil, the most dangerous fleet ever built by human hands is awake. For 3,000 years, humanity has been silent. To the galaxy, humans are ghosts, broken, scattered, forgotten. But silence can hide power. Silence can hide rage. And now, silence hides the armada of shadows, the fleet that will end the Zayari Empire. This is no ordinary fleet. These ships were not built for trade, not for exploration, not for diplomacy. They were forged in secrecy, carved into steel and fire by generations who lived only for vengeance. Every ship is a weapon. Every engine carries the weight of 1,000 dead voices. Together, they are the silent armada. The hollow veil has no thriving suns, no living worlds, no trade routes. That is why the enemy ignored it. That is why humanity chose it. For centuries, exiles from Earth's destruction gathered here. They built shipyards beneath frozen moons. They carved hangars into asteroids. They hollowed entire planets into factories. Children were born who never saw a sky. Generations lived and died inside metal caverns, working day after day on ships they would never sail. But they did not complain. They remembered Earth. They remembered fire raining from the skies. And every hammer strike, every welded plate of steel was an oath to return. When the Ziyari believed humanity had perished, the Armada grew in silence. It took 1,000 years for the first great warship to be finished. Another 1,000 for hundreds more. By the third millennium of exile, the Armada filled the system like a black sea of iron. Now, that sea prepares to move. At the center of the fleet drifts the eternal resolve, the largest warship ever built by human hands. It is more than a ship. It is a fortress, a city, a symbol of everything humanity has endured. Its hull is layered with black armor designed to bend light, making it vanish into the void. Its cannons can shatter moons. Its engines roar with stolen alien cores, modified and twisted into something even stronger. Commander Kyle Varin walks its command deck. The glass windows show the fleet stretching into endless darkness. His face is calm, but his heart beats like war drums. He has waited his whole life for this moment. Every ancestor before him waited too. Now it is his duty to lead. Admiral Ceres stands at his side, her voice cold and sharp. The Armada is aligned. Engines are charged. Once we leave the veil, there is no going back. Kale does not look at her. His eyes stay locked on the stars. There was no going back the day Earth burned. Orders flow through the fleet. Captains echo them across their decks. Soldiers strap into their stations. Pilots enter their fighters. Engineers feed energy into ship cores. The Armada is alive, and its heart begins to beat. Engines ignite, but they make no sound. The design of the Defenders is not just about firepower. It is about silence. Cloaked in shadows, hidden behind stolen alien stealth systems, the Armada moves like a phantom tide. To any scanner, it looks like nothing but cosmic dust. But dust does not move with purpose. Dust does not carry the wrath of humanity. The Armada drifts out of the hollow veil, engines burning invisible. The long march home has begun. Across the galaxy, strange reports begin to spread. Merchant ships vanish near empty systems. Patrols disappear without a trace. Some speak of shadows swallowing fleets whole. Others whisper of black ships that appear in silence, then vanish before a shot can be fired. Most dismiss these stories as fear. Pirates, they say. Rogue mercenaries, perhaps. Nothing to worry about. But those who have seen the shadows know the truth. They have glimpsed the Armada, and none of them live long enough to speak twice. The Ziyari Council hears the whispers. They laugh. Humanity? Extinct. Broken. Impossible. They turn their focus back to conquest, never realizing the storm is already at their gates. On board every ship, the defenders prepare in silence. Warriors polish their armor. Pilots sit in the cockpits of fighters, eyes closed, whispering the oath of blood. Blood for blood. Fire for fire. Earth for earth. The words are not spoken loudly. They are not shouted in rage. They are whispered, like prayers carved into the soul. Young soldiers recite them with trembling lips. Veterans speak them with voices like iron. Even children in the nurseries of the fleet know the words. They have been taught since birth. Humanity has not forgotten. The Armada's path crosses the edge of Ziyari-controlled space. A small patrol fleet stands in their way, 3 cruisers and a dozen smaller ships. To the enemy it is a simple patrol. To the defenders it is the first blood. Kale gives the order. Engage. The Armada moves like a predator. Fighters swarm out in silence, black wings spread against the stars. Warships break stealth, their cannons charging with blinding light. The enemy has no warning. In moments, the patrol fleet is torn apart. Ships shatter like glass. Fire erupts in silence. The defenders do not celebrate. They do not cheer. They simply move on, leaving wreckage drifting in the void. It is not victory. It is only the beginning, but one enemy ship escapes, limping back to Ziyari territory with fragments of data. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Ziyari realize something terrifying. Humanity is not gone. Humanity has returned. When the report reaches the Ziyari Council, the chamber echoes with laughter. Their commanders mock the very idea, humans. 3,000 years in hiding? Impossible. They are nothing but scavengers. If they survived, they are weak. Let them come. We burned their world once. We will burn it again. Their arrogance blinds them. They cannot imagine that the scattered exiles of humanity could build such power. They do not understand the strength of patience. They do not see the silent armada moving closer with every passing moment. Back on the eternal resolve, Kyle studies the star maps. Earth lies ahead, deep within enemy territory. The path will be filled with traps, patrols, and fortified strongholds. The armada may be vast, but it will not go unchallenged. Ceres watches him quietly. You carry more than command. You carry the weight of 3,000 years, Kyle nods. His voice is low. If we fail, humanity dies, not just in body but in memory. If we succeed, humanity lives forever. He turns back to the stars. The burden is heavy, but his resolve is heavier. The silent armada does not move alone. As it marches across forgotten systems, it finds allies, human colonies hidden in the dark, long cut off from each other. Some are small, entire populations born on asteroid stations. Others are larger with fleets of their own. When they see the armada, when they learn the truth, they do not hesitate. They join. One by one, their ships fall into formation, swelling the armada into something greater. For the first time in 3,000 years, humanity is united under a single purpose. The silent armada is no longer just a fleet. It is a nation of war. The journey to Earth is long, but every step forward tightens the noose. The Ziyari do not yet understand the scale of what is coming. Their fleets are unprepared. Their pride blinds them, but Kale knows the truth. The closer they move to Earth, the harder the fight will become. The battles ahead will test every ship, every warrior, every oath ever sworn. On the observation deck, he stares into the dark. The fleet drifts silently behind him, thousands of ships burning with invisible fire. We are ghosts now, he whispers. But soon, the galaxy will remember the living. Far away, deep within the ruined skies of Earth, a Ziyari warlord looks up from his palace balcony. For reasons he cannot explain, the stars feel heavier tonight. He brushes it off, confident in his empire's strength. He does not know that the silent armada is already on its way. He does not know that humanity is closer than he thinks. He does not know that the silence of 3,000 years is about to break in fire. The armada marches on. Earth waits in chains. The storm is coming. The patrol ship drifted across the black sky above Earth, its alien hull glowing with crimson light. Below it, the ruined planet turned slowly, wrapped in clouds of gray. Forests were gone. Oceans were poisoned. Human cities had long been ground to dust. Where humanity once thrived, the Ziyari now walked as rulers. But far beyond the range of their senses, hidden in the dark, humanity was watching. The silent armada had reached the edge of enemy space. Their long exile was over. The moment had come to see with their own eyes what had become of their home. Commander Kale Varin stood on the deck of the Eternal Resolve, staring at the holographic display. A small fleet of Ziyari patrol ships drifted near the ruins of Mars. They were sleek, insect-like vessels, built for speed and intimidation. Their movements were casual, unguarded. To them, this territory was safe, untouchable, but Kyle's fists clenched as the image of Earth appeared beside them. The planet looked scarred, its green and blue colors gone. Its surface was marked with burning strips where alien industry had torn the soil open. Towers of alien metal rose where once stood human cities. For the first time, Kyle saw what the Ziyari had done to humanity's cradle. His voice was low, steady, but sharp with rage. They took our world and made it theirs. Admiral Ceres, standing beside him, narrowed her eyes. Now we take it back. Before the armada could strike, they needed eyes inside enemy territory. Scouts were launched, small black ships designed to vanish into the void. Silent engines pushed them forward as they slipped past patrol routes and moved closer to Earth. Inside one of the scouts, Captain Rylan adjusted his controls. His crew sat tense around him, every motion careful, every sound quiet. The closer they drifted to Earth, the stronger the tension grew. Through their viewing screens, they saw alien cities glowing on the ruined surface. The Zayari had built fortresses into the bones of human history. Where New York once stood, an alien citadel rose high into the clouds. Where Beijing once thrived, a vast energy refinery blazed with green fire. Entire continents had been carved into weapons of war. Ryland's second officer whispered, his voice breaking. "They built their empire on our ashes." Ryland's jaw tightened. He recorded everything. Every fortress, every shipyard, every scar. Soon the Armada would use this knowledge to strike. On the surface of Earth, the Zayari lived without fear. They walked across soil, soaked with human blood, as if it were their own. Their palaces glittered with jewels mined from mountains once sacred to mankind. Their soldiers marched in formation through streets built on human bones. To them, humans were nothing but a forgotten enemy, a story told to their children as proof of Zayari's strength. "Defy us, and you will fall like the humans fell." They did not see the scouts watching from the shadows. They did not sense the silent Armada drawing closer. Their arrogance blinded them. One scout drifted too near. A Zayari patrol ship caught a faint signal and moved to investigate. Captain Ryland's crew froze as the alien vessel turned toward them, its weapons charging with a low hum. Inside the scout, alarms flashed. Ryland made his decision instantly. "Hold your course. Do not fire. Let them come." The Zayari ship approached, scanning, mocking. Its captain sneered at the weak human vessel. To him, it looked like nothing but scrap metal, a broken thing that should not even exist. But then Ryland's eyes flashed. His ship's stealth field dropped, and hidden cannons roared to life. One shot tore through the alien patrol, splitting it apart in a blaze of fire. The scout fled back into the void before the rest of the patrol could react. The message was clear. Humanity was not prey anymore. Back on the Eternal Resolve, Kale and his commanders studied the reports from the scouts. Maps of Earth filled the chamber. Red markers covered the planet, showing alien strongholds, fleets, and factories. It was worse than they had imagined. Admiral Ceres spoke first. "They've turned Earth into a fortress. Entire continents are weapons. If we strike, now we will bleed more than we can afford." Kyle's voice was sharp. "We did not wait 3,000 years to hesitate. Every fortress they built is a grave waiting to be dug. We will burn them out." The council fell silent. No one argued. They all knew the truth. Humanity had no choice but to fight. As the Armada prepared its next move, a signal crackled across space. The Zayari High Command had intercepted fragments of the scouts' attack. Their voices carried arrogance and fury to the vermin who dare rise from the shadows. "You should have stayed hidden. We crushed you once. We will crush you again." Kyle listened to the message in silence. Then he gave his own reply, broadcasting it on every frequency the enemy could hear. His voice was calm, steady, but every word cut like a blade. "We are humanity. We have returned. And we are coming for you." The transmission ended. Across the Armada, soldiers whispered the oath of blood. The time for hiding was over. The first real battle came near Mars. A Zayari fleet of 24 warships moved to block the path. They expected an easy victory. To them, humans were nothing but insects crawling out of the dirt. But the Armada was ready. Kyle gave the order. "Engage!" The silent Armada broke stealth. Thousands of black ships appeared in the void, weapons blazing. Fighters swarmed like locusts. Cannons roared. Missiles streaked across the stars. The Zayari laughed at first, then screamed as their ships were torn apart. Human weapons, built with centuries of stolen knowledge, struck harder than anything they had seen before. Entire enemy cruisers shattered under the first volley. The battle was swift, brutal, merciless. When it ended, the Zayari fleet was nothing but burning wreckage drifting near Mars. Kale's voice carried across the comms. "Let them know. Humanity is no longer broken." News of the battle spread across Zayari space. For the first time in millennia, the unthinkable had happened. A human fleet had destroyed a Zayari armada. The enemy council gathered in fury. Some called for extermination, others for caution. But one truth echoed through their chambers: humanity was back. Yet even as fear began to stir, arrogance remained. They told themselves the humans were few, that their fleet was strong but limited, that victory was still theirs. They did not understand the full scale of the silent armada. Not yet. As the armada drifted closer to Earth, soldiers walked the decks of their ships in silence. They stared out at the stars, knowing they were looking at the same sky their ancestors once saw. Private Alira, born in exile, clutched a small glass vial of earth soil passed down through her family. She whispered to it, as if speaking to the ghosts of the past, "We are coming home." Across the fleet, thousands like her carried relics, memories, fragments of a world they had never seen. Together they burned with the same fire. Deep inside his fortress on Earth, the Ziyari warlord Valek stood on a balcony overlooking the poisoned ruins of the planet. His advisors rushed to him, voices frantic with the news of the human attack. "Warlord, the humans live. They destroyed the fleet near Mars. They are coming." Valek turned his gaze to the stars. His mandibles clicked in amusement. "Let them come. Let the ghosts rise from their graves. We will remind them why their world burned." But far above, unseen, the silent armada was already moving. Humanity had drawn first blood. The real war was about to begin. The void above Saturn burned with red light. Wreckage drifted across the black sky, the shattered bones of the Ziyari patrol fleet. Human ships moved among the ruins like predators, engines glowing faintly, weapons still hot from battle. This was no accident. This was no raid. This was humanity's first open strike against their ancient enemy. And it was only the beginning. For 3,000 years, humanity had waited in silence. Now the silence was broken, and the galaxy would never know peace again. On the flagship Eternal Resolve, Commander Kyle Varin stood over the tactical display. The wreckage of enemy ships filled the holographic map. For a moment there was silence on the deck. Then Kyle spoke, his voice cold as steel. This was the first blow. "It will not be the last. From this moment there is no turning back. The enemy knows we live. They will come with everything they have." His officers nodded in grim silence. There was no fear, only resolve. Humanity had spilled the first blood, and mercy was no longer part of their story. On Earth, news of the battle spread quickly. The Ziyari Council met in fury. Warlords shouted across the chamber, their insect-like bodies shaking with rage. "Humans dare to strike us?" One snarled. "We crushed them once. We will crush them again." Another slammed his claws against the floor. "Send the fleets. Burn them where they hide." But one voice rose above the rest, calm and sharp. Warlord Valek, the Master of Earth, spoke. "You underestimate them. They were supposed to be extinct, yet they return with a fleet strong enough to destroy ours. We will not repeat our ancestors' mistakes. This time we will erase them completely," the Council agreed. Armies were summoned. Fleets were recalled from distant conquests. The galaxy would soon tremble under the weight of war. On the Eternal Resolve, the defenders made ready. Engineers repaired the few damages their ships had taken. Soldiers sharpened their weapons, checked their armor, and whispered the oath of blood, blood for blood. Fire for fire, earth for earth. Admiral Ceres stood on the command deck beside Kyle. She watched the soldiers move with quiet precision. "They are ready to die," she said. Kyle nodded. "So are we. But we will not die quietly. We will take the enemy with us until the stars themselves bleed." The first great clash came near Titan, Saturn's frozen moon. The Ziyari sent a massive fleet, larger than anything humanity had yet faced. Hundreds of alien warships filled the void, their crimson hulls glowing like fire. They came with confidence, laughing across open channels. Humans, insects, ghosts who crawl from the dirt. "You think you can stand against us? We will burn you again." Kyle's reply was simple. "Try." The armada moved. Thousands of human ships surged forward in silence, weapons blazing. Fighters screamed across the void, weaving between alien cruisers. Battleships roared with fire, tearing through enemy shields. The Ziyari fought back with fury. Their cannons split the void with crimson light. Missiles streaked across the battlefield. Explosions lit the darkness like dying stars. The battle raged for hours, a storm of fire and steel. In the heart of the fight, Kyle's ship cut through enemy lines like a blade. The Eternal Resolve unleashed its main cannon, shattering an enemy dreadnought in a single shot. Across the comms, Kyle gave the order that would mark humanity's return forever. No mercy. No survivors. They burned our world. Burn theirs. The defenders fought with a fury the Ziyari had never seen. They did not retreat. They did not hesitate. They struck with the rage of 3,000 years. One Ziyari captain begged for surrender as his ship's hull cracked open. Kale's answer was silence. The Eternal Resolve fired, and the ship was torn apart. The message was clear. Humanity had no forgiveness left to give. When the battle ended, Titan's skies were filled with wreckage. Hundreds of Ziyari ships drifted in flames. The Silent Armada had won, but victory came with cost. Dozens of human ships were gone. Thousands of defenders lay dead among the ruins. Their bodies drifted silently in the cold void. Kyle walked the halls of his ship, passing the wounded and the dead. He did not smile. He did not celebrate. Victory tasted of ash. Admiral Ceres met him in the command chamber. "We lost too many," she said. Kyle's voice was steady. "We will lose more. But every drop of blood buys us closer to Earth." Across Ziyari space, the news spread like wildfire. For the first time in history, a fleet had stood against them and won. Fear rippled through their empire. Some warlords called for more fleets. Others demanded stronger weapons, but the whispers among their people were worse. The humans have returned. The ghosts of Earth walk again. They will come for us all. The fear grew, and with it, the first cracks in the empire began to show. In the silence after battle, the Armada gathered its dead. Bodies were sealed in glass and drifted into the void, each one a torch of light against the black sky. Soldiers stood in ranks, their fists clenched across their chests. Kale's voice carried through every ship. They gave their lives for Earth. They gave their lives for vengeance. We will not stop until every star burns with justice. The Ziyari think us broken, but we are unbroken. We are humanity, and we do not forgive. The Armada roared in answer, a sound that shook the void. Far away, deep within his fortress on Earth, Warlord Valek received the news of Titan's fall. His claws curled against the stone railing of his balcony. For the first time, his mandibles tightened in anger, not arrogance. "The humans bleed us," he said softly, "but they forget. We still hold their world." He turned to his generals. "Prepare the Earth Fortress. Let the Armada come. We will drown them in their own blood." But above, in the cold stars, Kale watched the path ahead. The Silent Armada was moving closer. Earth was waiting. The war had only begun. In the silence of deep space, a transmission flickered in the dark. It was not human. It was not meant for human ears. It was a message carried by betrayal, coordinates confirmed. "The humans march for Earth. Strike them when they reach the gates." The signal vanished into the void, received by a Ziyari warship hidden far beyond sight. On board the Eternal Resolve, no one yet knew the truth. The Armada carried traitors among its own ranks. Generations in exile had united humanity into one people, one cause. But not every colony had resisted the Ziyari. Some had bent the knee to survive. Some had traded loyalty for safety. Those who lived under alien rule were broken, reshaped, taught to fear the defenders as much as the enemy. Among the Armada now marched descendants of those who had once chosen submission. And in their hearts, fear battled loyalty. The Ziyari knew this. They had planted spies long ago, waiting for the day humanity rose again. Now those spies prepared to strike. Commander Kyle Varin gathered his captains in the war chamber. The map of Earth filled the display, glowing red with alien strongholds. Admiral Ceres pointed to the largest fortress built into the ruins of old Europe. "Here is where they keep their primary command. If we cut this out, the rest will fall." Kyle nodded, his face hard. "We move in 3 cycles. The Armada must be ready for the siege." The captains answered with determination. Yet in the corner of the room, one pair of eyes avoided Cale's gaze. Captain Drevos, commander of the ship Iron Wing, lowered his head to hide his thoughts. He had already sent word to the enemy. He had already chosen survival over loyalty. The betrayal spread like poison. On several ships, whispers began. Some soldiers asked if vengeance was worth extinction. Others questioned Cale's command. Fear grew in quiet corners where loyalty once stood. Private Alira, young and loyal, overheard such whispers on her ship. She confronted the doubters, her eyes blazing. You would betray the blood of your ancestors? You would spit on Earth's ashes? We are not here to survive. We are here to make the enemy bleed. If you cannot fight, then you are already dead. Her words silenced them, but fear remained. Shadows moved among the crew, waiting for the right moment. Admiral Ceres noticed the cracks first. Reports came late. Patrols returned with missing soldiers. Strange signals were caught and dismissed as interference. She brought her suspicions to Cale. There is rot among us. Someone feeds the enemy. Kyle's jaw tightened. His voice was iron. Find them! Burn them out. We cannot march with knives in our backs. The order spread. Security doubled. Soldiers watched each other more closely. But the traitors were clever. They had hidden for generations. They knew how to mask their treachery. The betrayal revealed itself near the orbit of Jupiter. As the Armada advanced, a hidden Ziyari fleet appeared from behind the planet's shadow. Hundreds of alien ships surged forward, weapons blazing. The Armada should have been prepared. But the enemy knew their course, their timing, their formation. The trap was perfect. Human ships were torn apart in the opening volley. Fighters screamed into the void, only to be cut down by waves of enemy fire. Kyle stood on the command deck, his fists clenched. His voice cut through the chaos. Hold the line. Break their flank. Do not give ground. The Armada rallied. Cannons thundered, missiles streaked, and fire filled the void. The battle raged with fury. But Cale knew one truth. Someone had betrayed them. During the fight, Admiral Ceres intercepted a signal. It came not from the enemy, but from within. A human ship, the Iron Wing, was transmitting live data to the Ziyari. Ceres stormed into the chamber. Her voice was sharp as blades. Kyle, the traitor is Drevos. He feeds them our movements. Kyle's eyes turned cold. He opened the channel to Drevos at once. Captain, you betray your blood? Drevos's face appeared, twisted with fear and defiance. You will doom us all. The Ziyari cannot be defeated. I choose survival. Kyle's voice was steady. Then you choose death. With a single command, the Armada's guns turned on the Iron Wing. The traitor ship was torn apart in fire, its fragments drifting into the void. The Armada roared as one. Betrayal would not be forgiven. With Drevos dead, the Armada regained control. Human ships surged forward, breaking the Ziyari line. The Eternal Resolve unleashed its main cannon, tearing the enemy flagship in half. Fighters swarmed through the wreckage, hunting down the last survivors. Within hours, the hidden fleet was destroyed. The Armada had survived the trap, but the cost was heavy. Hundreds of ships were gone. Thousands of soldiers were dead. And now, every defender knew the truth. The enemy had allies among their own. Cale stood before the Armada in a broadcast sent to every ship. His voice carried the weight of judgment. Tonight we learned the cost of betrayal. Drevos chose fear over blood. He is gone. Any who choose his path will share his fate. There is no survival in chains. There is no life under the enemy. There is only vengeance. Stand with humanity or fall with traitors. The message was clear. The Armada could not move forward with divided hearts. From that day on, loyalty was not only expected, it was demanded. Back on Earth, Warlord Valak received news of the failed ambush. His generals hissed in anger, demanding punishment for their spies' failure. But Valak was silent. For the first time, doubt flickered in his eyes. The humans purge their traitors, he said. They grow stronger with every battle. We must break them before they reach this world. He turned his gaze to the burning sky above. If they reach Earth, we may not hold it. Despite betrayal, despite losses, the silent Armada pressed forward. Repairs were made. New ships joined from hidden colonies. The defenders marched with fire in their eyes. Private Alira stood at the observation deck of her ship, staring into the void. She thought of the soil her family had carried for centuries, locked in glass. She thought of Earth, waiting in chains. She whispered the oath once more. Blood for blood, fire for fire, earth for earth. Across the Armada, thousands whispered the same. The shadows of betrayal had been burned away. What remained was fury. On the eternal resolve, Kyle watched the star map. Earth was closer now. The next step would bring them into the heart of enemy space. Every battle ahead would be bloodier than the last. Ceres stood beside him. The traitors are gone, but the enemy knows we are coming. They will throw everything at us. Kale's eyes narrowed. His voice was calm. Let them. They will break before we do. But far away, in the depths of Earth's poisoned skies, warlord Valak prepared his fortress. He no longer laughed at humanity's return. He sharpened his blades. He readied his armies. The siege of Earth was about to begin. The Armada reached the edge of the solar system. And there it was. Earth, it hung in the black like a wounded jewel, half hidden beneath choking metal. Alien fortresses wrapped around the planet like chains. The sky above Earth burned red with the glow of Zayari warships, thousands of them waiting like wolves guarding their prey. For 3,000 years, humanity had dreamed of this moment. Now it was here, and every man, woman, and child in the Armada felt the weight of their ancestors pressing down upon them. The time had come. The siege had begun. From the bridge of the Eternal Resolve, Commander Kale Varin stared at his homeworld. His fists were tight against the console. For a long time he said nothing. His officers waited in silence, the air heavy with tension. At last Kyle spoke. They chained our world. They poisoned our skies. They walked on our graves. Today we break their chains. Today Earth breathes free again. The Armada erupted with a roar across every channel. The oath of blood echoed through the fleet. Soldiers pounded their fists against armor. Pilots gripped their controls with fire in their eyes. Every ship lit its engines. The Armada surged forward. Warlord Valak stood in his command tower on Earth, gazing at the approaching human fleet. His mandibles twitched in cold amusement. They come at last, he said. Fools. They see their home and believe it is theirs to take. But Earth belongs to the Zayari. It is our fortress now, our jewel of conquest. And they will die upon its gates, his generals bowed low. Across the planet, defenses came alive. Massive orbital cannons fired from alien-built towers. Swarms of fighters poured into the skies. Entire fleets shifted into position, forming a wall of steel around Earth. The trap was set. The first clash shook the void. Human ships screamed forward, unleashing waves of missiles and plasma fire. Alien shields flared in the darkness as the Zayari answered with burning red cannons. Explosions lit the skies above Earth like a second sun. Wreckage rained through the void. Fighters tore into each other in dogfights so fierce that space itself seemed to bleed. Kyle's voice cut through the chaos. Break their line. Drive them back. Do not stop until Earth is free. The Armada obeyed. Battleships surged into the wall of alien warships, slamming them apart with raw firepower. Smaller human ships darted between enemy formations, striking at weak points like knives in the dark. The battle roared across the heavens. Every mile toward Earth cost blood. Alien destroyers rammed into human cruisers, tearing them apart. Zayari boarding pods smashed into defenders' ships, spilling insect-like warriors into corridors of fire and steel. On the Iron Valor, Private Alira fought hand-to-hand against clawed invaders. Her blade cut deep into alien flesh as blood sprayed across the walls. She screamed with fury, her voice echoing the oath, "Earth for Earth!" Her squad joined the cry, and together they forced the enemy back into the void. But for every defender who stood, another fell. Ships died in fire. Thousands were lost. Yet the Armada pushed forward, closer and closer to Earth. The greatest threat were the orbital cannons. Giant weapons built into Earth's orbit that could tear apart battleships with a single strike. Admiral Ceres led the charge against them. Her fleet dived into the storm of fire, weaving between the cannon's massive blasts. "Target their cores," she commanded. "Bring them down." Bombers swarmed in, unleashing payloads that split the first cannon apart in a thunderous blaze. The explosion lit the sky above Europe, shaking the planet itself. One by one, the cannons fell, each destroyed by fire and sacrifice. Human pilots rammed their ships into enemy defenses to buy time for the fleet. Every death carved a path closer to Earth's surface. But the Zayari had not only fortified the skies. On Earth's surface, alien fortresses spread across continents. Spires of metal rose from the ruins of human cities. Armies waited in their millions, ready to meet the defenders if they dared to land. Valek's voice thundered across the Zayari command network. "Let them come. Let them set foot upon this world. We will grind them into dust as we ground their ancestors before." But the defenders had no choice. To take Earth, they had to land. And so Kale gave the order, "Prepare the dropships." The ground war begins now. Dropships broke from the armada like falling stars. Thousands of them streaked toward Earth, their hulls glowing from re-entry as enemy fire tore the skies. Inside one dropship, Alira gripped her weapon tightly. Her heart pounded in her chest. Around her, soldiers whispered prayers, curses, and promises. The dropship shook violently as enemy fire grazed it. One soldier vomited. Another closed his eyes and kissed the soil sample he carried from his ancestors. Then the pilot's voice cut through the chaos. "Brace! Impact in 10 seconds!" The dropship slammed into the ground with bone-crushing force. The doors blew open. Hell awaited. The defenders stormed out into the ruins of what was once Paris. The city was unrecognizable. Alien towers pierced the sky, and the Seine ran black with pollution. Zayari warriors charged to meet them, their claws and weapons flashing in the smoke. The battle turned the streets into rivers of fire and blood. Alira fired her rifle until it clicked empty. She drew her blade and fought face to face, cutting down enemies with savage strikes. Around her comrades fell, but the line held. Above, human artillery rained fire upon alien strongholds. Buildings collapsed in thunder, crushing both sides alike. The ruins shook with war. Kyle himself led the assault on the central fortress in Europe. His armor was blackened from fire, his eyes cold with vengeance. Soldiers followed him as though he were the storm itself. "Push forward," he roared. For every stone they stole, take it back with blood. The defenders fought like demons, forcing the Zayari back step by step. Every hallway of the fortress was filled with screams, fire, and steel. Kale's blade cut through alien generals. His rifle never missed. His fury drove the soldiers onward until the fortress trembled under human fire. But Warlord Valek had waited for this moment. He unleashed his reserves, millions of Zayari soldiers, monstrous war beasts bred in alien pits, and new weapons never seen before. The tide turned. The defenders were driven back, their lines cracking under the weight of sheer numbers. On the battlefield, Alira fell to her knees, her body battered and bleeding. Around her, comrades screamed as the enemy swarmed. For a moment it seemed humanity would be crushed once again, but the defenders did not break. Reinforcements poured in from the skies, dropships raining more soldiers into the fight. Human artillery repositioned, unleashing waves of fire that shattered alien beasts. Kale's voice thundered across the comms. "Hold the line! Do not give them an inch. This is Earth. Our Earth." The words lit a fire in every defender's heart. They rose, bloodied but unbroken, and struck back with renewed fury. The Zayari were forced back, their war beasts slain, their lines faltering. The siege pressed deeper into the heart of Earth. By nightfall, the skies above Earth glowed red with fire. The Armada still fought in orbit. On the ground, the defenders held shattered cities against endless waves of enemies. Kyle stood on the ruins of the fortress, his armor stained with blood. Beside him, Admiral Ceres gazed at the burning horizon. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Valek will throw everything he has at us." Kale's eyes hardened. "Then let him. We have returned." And we will not leave again. Far away in his dark tower, Valak watched the battle unfold. For the first time in 3,000 years, fear crept into his heart. The humans had returned to their home, and they would not stop until the last Zayari lay dead upon it. The siege of Earth had begun, and it would not end until one side was ash and silence. The sky above Earth burned with endless fire. Smoke rose from ruined cities. Ash rained across the continents. The ground shook with every blast as the war between humanity and the Zayari consumed the planet. For days, the silent armada had fought to break the enemy's hold. They had gained ground, then lost it again under waves of alien fury. Entire streets were covered with blood. Mountains echoed with the screams of battle. But in the heart of this storm, a new fire was rising. The defenders were not broken. They were not beaten. They were rising higher than the Zayari had ever feared. At dawn, the ruins of Paris lay in silence. The alien fortress above the city burned, shattered by human fire. But the victory came with cost. The defenders stood weary, bloodied, their numbers thin. From the shadows, horns sounded. The ground trembled. Millions of Zayari poured across the ruins like a tidal wave, their armor glinting in the firelight, their war cries shaking the earth. Alira gripped her rifle with trembling hands. Her squad was cut in half. The wounded lay groaning around her. Beside her, Kyle stood like an unbroken wall, his eyes fixed on the advancing horde. "This is where we rise," he said. "This is where humanity shows them what cannot be killed." The defenders raised their weapons, and the ground erupted in fire. The Zayari crashed against the human lines with unstoppable force. Claws ripped through walls. Cannons lit the ruins with thunder. Defenders fell in the thousands, but still they held. Alira fought with savage fury, firing until her rifle burned hot, then charging with her blade. Her body screamed with exhaustion, but her spirit burned brighter. Each enemy she cut down was one step closer to Earth's freedom. On the command net, Kyle's voice carried through every channel. "Do not yield. Do not falter. Every drop of blood brings us closer. Rise, defenders, rise!" The words spread like fire. Soldiers who were falling rose again. Wounded fighters dragged themselves back into the fight. The defenders surged forward, their cries echoing louder than the enemy's. From hidden bunkers beneath Europe, Kyle unleashed his last reserve, the vanguard. They were warriors bred for this war alone, trained since birth in exile. Armed with weapons forged for vengeance, the vanguard stormed into the streets like thunder, their armor black and gold, their blades blazing with plasma. They cut through Zayari ranks like lightning, carving a path through the endless tide. Alira watched in awe as the vanguard leapt into the fight. For the first time, the Zayari faltered. Fear flickered in their insect eyes. "They bleed," a defender shouted. "The enemy bleeds!" The cry spread. The defenders pressed harder, their blades singing with fury. The rise had begun, but Warlord Valak was not blind. From his tower in what was once Moscow, he saw the humans gaining ground. His mandibles clicked in rage. "Enough," he hissed. "Release the war beasts." Massive gates opened across Earth's fortresses. Out crawled monsters bred in alien pits, creatures larger than tanks, covered in armored hide and dripping acid. Their roars shook the heavens. The beasts charged into the battlefield, crushing soldiers beneath their weight. Entire human squads were devoured in moments. For a heartbeat, despair returned. The defenders staggered, their lines bending under the monster's fury, but Kale stepped forward. "Bring them down. No beast will stop us. Fire everything." The battle shifted to madness. Tanks rolled into position, blasting the beasts with heavy fire. Artillery hammered the monsters, breaking their armor. Alira and her squad swarmed one beast, climbing its armored hide while it roared and thrashed. She drove her blade deep into its eye, blinding it as others unleashed grenades into its mouth. The creature collapsed in fire, shaking the ruins. One by one, the monsters fell, each slain at terrible cost. The defenders stood bloodied and battered, but they still stood, and the Zayari, watching their strongest weapons fall. began to doubt. The battle raged across the world, but Kale's focus was on Valak's fortress. If the warlord fell, Earth would break free. With the vanguard at his side, Kyle cut a path through the battlefield, storming the alien tower in Moscow. The fortress rose miles into the sky, its spires glowing red with alien fire. Inside, the halls were filled with endless waves of Zayari guards. The fighting was brutal, every step paid for with blood. Kyle's blade cut down enemy after enemy. His armor was shattered, his body bleeding, but nothing slowed him. "Forward!" he roared. "Earth is ours!" The vanguard followed, their cries shaking the fortress walls. In the heart of the fortress, Valak waited. Clad in black armor, his claws sharpened, his eyes burning with hatred, he stepped forward to meet Kyle. "So the ghost of humanity stands before me," Valak hissed. "I crushed your kind once. I will crush you again." Kyle raised his blade, his voice steady. "You crushed ashes. Now you face fire." The duel began. The fight between Kale and Valak shook the tower. Blades struck with the force of thunder. Claws clashed with steel. Sparks lit the darkness as the two leaders battled for the fate of Earth. Valak struck with monstrous strength, his claws tearing through Kyle's armor. But Kale answered with fury, his blade cutting deep into alien flesh. Around them, the vanguard held the line, fighting off waves of guards. The battle thundered through the fortress, every soldier knowing the war would end with the duel. Elira, bloodied but unbroken, fought her way into the tower. She looked up to see Kyle and Valak locked in combat, their blades flashing like lightning. Her heart pounded. She knew this was the moment. Outside, the defenders across Earth felt the shift. News spread through the comms. Kyle faced Valak. The warlord who had enslaved their world was within reach. The cry rose from every battlefield, from every ruined street and every burning city. "Rise, defenders! Rise!" The humans surged forward with unstoppable fury. They fought with broken weapons, with bare hands, with teeth if needed. Every fighter knew their leader was battling for Earth's soul. The Zayari faltered. Their lines collapsed. The humans pressed them back across every front. Earth was rising. In the tower's heart, Kale and Valak struck their final blows. Valak lunged with his claws, but Kyle caught the strike, driving his blade through the warlord's chest. Valak roared in agony, his body collapsing in a pool of dark blood. His mandibles twitched as he gasped his final words. "You will never keep it." Kale tore his blade free. "We already have." The warlord fell silent. The fortress shook as defenders raised their banners from its spires. Across the planet, the Zayari forces broke. Leaderless, their armies scattered. Humanity roared in triumph. The battle was not over. The Zayari still held fleets across the stars. But Earth was theirs again. Kale stood at the top of the ruined fortress, his armor soaked in blood, his blade raised high. The defenders below cheered, their voices rising like thunder. Elira collapsed to her knees, staring at the soil beneath her hands. For the first time in her life, she was standing on Earth, her Earth. Tears ran down her face as she whispered, "We are home." But Kale's eyes turned toward the stars. He knew the war was not done. The Zayari would return with vengeance, and humanity would meet them. The defenders had risen. But vengeance beyond the stars was still to come. Earth burned with fire and victory. The alien fortresses had fallen. Warlord Valak was dead. The defenders stood upon the soil of their homeworld, their banners rising in the smoke-filled skies. But even in triumph, no one celebrated. Not truly, because every soldier knew the truth. The war was not finished. The Zayari Empire stretched across the stars, vast and unbroken. And with Valak's death, they would not retreat into silence. They would come for vengeance. Humanity had returned to Earth. Now humanity would rise beyond it. On the ruined steps of Valak's tower, Commander Kyle Varen stood before his soldiers. His armor was shattered, his face scarred, but his eyes burned like fire. He raised his blade toward the blood-red sky. "Earth is free, but freedom is not enough. The Zayari will return. They will come with endless fleets. If we wait, they will burn us again. If we wait, all we have fought for will be lost." His voice carried through every ship, every squad, every soldier across Earth. We do not wait. We strike. We take the war beyond the stars. For every world they stole, for every child they killed, for every century of exile, we will bring vengeance. The defenders roared as one, their voices shaking the ruins. Humanity was not finished. Humanity was rising higher. Far from Earth, the Ziyari High Council gathered in their throne world of Ziyara. The warlords screamed in fury at the news of Valak's death. They killed one of our greatest. They defiled our conquest. They are vermin. They must be erased. But among them was fear. For if humans could take back Earth, what else could they do? One warlord hissed with rage. We will send the armada, every fleet, every soldier. We will crush them under the weight of 1,000 worlds. But another, older and wiser, spoke quietly. No, if they rise beyond Earth, they will not wait for us. They will come, and if they come, we may not stop them. The chamber fell silent. On Earth, the silent armada repaired and rebuilt. Factories rose from the ruins, powered by technology carried from exile. Ships were forged in orbit, weapons assembled in secret vaults. Every survivor on Earth labored with one purpose, to prepare for the war that was coming. Children carried metal scraps. Farmers melted alien steel into bullets. Engineers worked until their hands bled. Alira stood on the surface of Earth, her boots pressing into the soil she had never known. Around her, soldiers built defenses, but her eyes turned upward. She whispered the oath softly. Blood for blood. Fire for fire. Earth for Earth, stars for humanity. Kale knew waiting was death. He led the armada from Earth once more, striking at nearby systems where the Ziyari still ruled. The first target was Mars. The enemy had built a fortress across the Red Plains, their banners flying above the ruins of human colonies. The armada arrived without warning. Human ships rained fire upon the alien defenses, and dropships descended in waves. The defenders fought through the alien strongholds, reclaiming Mars with fire and blood. When the final alien general fell, Kyle broadcast across the galaxy. This is humanity. We are not broken. We are not afraid. We are coming for you. The Ziyari Empire trembled. Reports spread of human fleets striking system after system. Colonies that had been ruled for centuries burned with rebellion. The name of humanity became a whisper of fear. The defenders are coming. They burn every fortress. They are vengeance itself. In some places, alien slaves rose against their Ziyari masters, inspired by the humans. Chains were broken. Fires lit the night. Humanity was no longer just fighting for Earth. They had become the symbol of rebellion across the stars. But the Ziyari were not broken yet. From the ashes of Valak's defeat, a new leader rose, his daughter Vera. She was younger, sharper, and filled with rage. Where Valak had ruled with arrogance, she ruled with cold fury. She swore vengeance not only for her empire, but for her blood. She gathered fleets larger than anything seen before, pulling warships from the farthest corners of the empire. Her plan was clear. She would not wait for humanity to come. She would take the war back to them. The first great confrontation with Vera's armada came above Proxima, a system of alien shipyards. The silent armada met the Ziyari fleet head-on. Thousands of ships clashed in the void, their weapons tearing the blackness into fire. The battle raged for days, fleets maneuvering through asteroid fields and shattered moons. Kyle's ship, the Eternal Resolve, cut through enemy lines like a blade. Alira, now a squad leader, fought in the heart of the boarding actions, leading her soldiers across alien decks in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The battle ended with the shipyards in flames and the Ziyari forced to retreat. But humanity paid dearly. Dozens of capital ships were lost. Thousands of defenders never returned, yet the message was clear. Humanity was not just defending Earth. They were pushing outward, carrying the war into the stars. One by one, human colonies long enslaved by the Ziyari were freed. Some were ruins, others still thriving under alien chains. Wherever the defenders arrived, banners of humanity rose again. Children who had grown up speaking alien tongues now whispered human prayers. Old songs of Earth, forgotten for centuries, were sung once more. For the first time in 3,000 years, humanity was not scattered. It was united, but Vera did not yield. She struck back with cunning, luring parts of the armada into traps. Whole fleets were lost in sudden ambushes. Human soldiers captured alive were paraded in chains, executed before alien crowds. Her message was clear. Humanity may rise, but it would pay in blood for every step. Kyle answered with steel. If they take one of us, we take 1,000 of them. If they burn one ship, we burn a fleet. If they spill our blood, we drown them in theirs. The war spiraled into total vengeance. Years of battle scarred the stars. Systems turned to ash. Planets were broken. Fleets were torn apart. But still, humanity pushed forward. At last, only one place remained, the throne world of Zayara, heart of the enemy empire. The armada gathered above it, larger than ever before. Every ship built in exile, every soldier forged in vengeance, every weapon carved from human rage was now pointed at the Zayari capital. Kyle spoke to his people one last time. This is where it ends. For Earth, for the fallen, for the future. We strike now, and the galaxy will never again doubt humanity. The armada surged forward. The skies above the throne world turned into apocalypse. Human and alien fleets clashed in endless waves. Fire consumed the black. Moons shattered. Oceans boiled. Kale led the charge on the surface, storming the alien palace itself. At his side fought Alira, her blade dripping with alien blood, her voice hoarse from shouting the oath. Inside the throne chamber, Kale faced Vera. Their duel shook the palace, blade against claw, fury against fury. You killed my father, Vera hissed. I will carve your heart and feed it to my people. Kyle's voice was cold. Your father burned our world. You will join him in the ashes. The fight was brutal, both warriors striking with endless rage. At last, Kale's blade drove through Vera's chest. She fell, her scream echoing through the chamber as silence followed. The Zayari Empire had no master left. The throne world fell. The fleet scattered. Across the galaxy, the Zayari crumbled. Humanity had not only reclaimed Earth, humanity had risen as a force no empire could silence again. Kyle stood upon the alien throne, his armor broken, his blade still stained. Around him, the banners of humanity rose.